Matthew Letter is new. This is his first time. And he's going to share a menagerie of nonsensicalness. Please welcome Cody Copeland.
Hi guys, my name's Cody. I think that's the best way to describe almost every poem I've ever written. Why this jumped right out to me when I saw it on Facebook. It's like, I have to read some poems. For example, you get done with this one, you go, why was that written? This one's called Nothing Lapidary Left. First the language died, then the tongues followed suit. An entire nation looked across the table from one another like an awkward family on holiday with no news to tell or beliefs to share. No, nothing to say at all, not even a pass the salt or a fuck you too, Dad. A point arrived at which our lexicon began to wobble and founder on its own glut of brand names and crippled metaphors with short-lived shelf lives. Eyes now suns one can't help but stare into. All were quiet. The liars were the first to go, those who used the language most and at its emptiest. No one got the news. Our clerics gagged on the swift deaths of their versions of truth. Their tongues fell to make their final sound, the cluck of cold tissue on polished oak. The State of the Union address that year was particularly glum. All were quiet. There were riots, oh yes, fights and looters, mayhem in the lingual silence. Wow, it was thought but unsaid, and we found it hard to understand each other before the day our words abandoned us. The poets gathered in the Capitol to petition for the return of the muses, for the language refused to even let itself be written down anymore. As per their usual, the feds were plumb out of helpful advice. So the poets wailed and made martyrous pyres of themselves. Right there in the street, novelists settled themselves abroad. A well-respected scientist ran some tests and discovered the cause. Our medium of discourse had simply had enough. It was tired of being misused, and so it left. But he took his findings with him to the grave. Nothing lapidary left to say, his tombstone might have read. And that is how the lovers came to power. The necrosis hadn't taken their tongues because fellatio and cunnilingus were the only worthwhile things left to do with one's mouth muscle. Pleasure, the new currency of power. But we were naive to call it love. A great and shameless orgy in the Capitol atop the ashes of our former bards inaugurated this new dumb era. We kept on without the privilege of words, swapping ideas through wide-mouthed sighs. Moans as symbols, lacking tense, no future to neglect, dreams became now. A sort of second conditional way to live. You are what you would be, because love is now commander-in-chief and needs no check nor balance. And that's where we went wrong. Love is mandate, setting limits with the liberator of misused souls. Greed, power's tag-along tied Eros to a chair, through agape and the slammer. Xenia still waits for a trial that will never fairly come. Philia was waterboarded until she confessed to crimes she didn't commit. The general feeling of the Union address that year was particularly glum. All were quiet. The sallow wrinkles of our leader's frown would have long ago spelled out the word regret. He took a deep breath and exhaled the longest, saddest sigh to ever rustle human lips, and we all knew exactly what it was that he so longed to say. Ah, hell, we fucked it up again, didn't we? Good, thank you. Some of you will probably not like me after this next one. If you're diehard about the prose poem, I'm adamantly against. This one's called The Line. I read your poem and was intrigued by your theoretical take on the line, by your understanding of the purely material limits imposed upon the line by our size, technology, the field of view of the human eye, etc. And that in theory, of course, the line extends forever and ever, like the football field's end zone, which makes equally complete and obvious sense. And just because about everyone is in accord with the boundaries of the common 8.5 by 11-inch A4 sheet of copy paper, that doesn't mean that a line doesn't have the potential to be written off out into the frigid and airless cosmos and grow as nebulous as the stars of Hubble's famous snapshots. Or why not adopt a more cyclical interpretation of the page itself and let the line wrap around it to the other side and the space below and render the return key utterly obsolete? Fucking jam it, I say, anyway. Just keep typing away about the grand epiphany behind the first prose poem ever written, and while you're at it, you might as well throw out meter, because it's always been too buddy-buddy with the line anyway. Smart bastards. So that any sesquipedalian pursuits really won't require calculation or thought, neither for nor after. And creative writing course instructors countrywide will cross their legs and ask their semicircles of eager students, what is a prose poem? And stare off into the corner with a and a scratch of the chin, and their students will say inwardly, shit, because they don't have any fucking clue what the damn thing is either, and they'll think the instructor does, and they'll believe that they're no good because they can't figure out the oxymoronic task of writing prose that is poesy, and good luck trying to explain how this one is a prose poem, but that one is flash fiction, and yes, there is a difference, don't you see it? Well, I guess you're just not MFA Club material then. Surrender your flannel and subscription to Plowshares at the door, please. Yeah. I did. I'm a waiter now, so. This one I turned in as untitled, but I just hate when a poem is read as untitled, so I gave it one. This one's called Motive. I must commend the vandals who trashed the frozen dragon, the troll, the animals from the zoo carved from ice and set up on display in a corporate courtyard in Yorkville, downtown Toronto. My sentiments, exactly, whatever the motive. Was it a drunken fit? A reveling in the pure and mindless joy of watching something topple? Or did the destruction carry with it a message? It's April, winter, fuck off already. I second the motion, but I like to think that whoever did this had the nature of man in mind as well, that these piles of bulbous broken ice are meant to shout to the towering edifices in their backdrop, heed the illusion! The smashed honeybee's home is a striving for warmth to break apart the hive. The shattered clown, a kick to the investment banker's teeth. What was once the shrewd shape of a lakeside cottage, now demolished, is a violent yawp at that icy infrastructure. I sense a rebellious heat in this place, and it pleases me. But the money men go on down, smiling from the topmost windows of their perch, smugly watching me kick ice cubes down the sidewalk, celebrating an impotent victory.